Good afternoon. Today is August 12th. It's the second Wednesday of the month. And for the past 3 months, we have been getting together to learn more about Windows 10 from an insider's point of view with Bill James. Today, we are going to be focusing on Edge, and it's going to be my pleasure to bring to the microphone and let Bill James take us to the edge of today's presentation.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for attending our final session of the Getting to Know Windows from an Insider Point of View. It's really been a pleasure to present these workshops, and I'm so glad that you were able to attend. And today we're going to be talking about Microsoft Edge, the new Edge, the one that looks like the logo that looks like a detergent to me, but it's still a rather attractive tricolored E. But if you recall, Microsoft has had a long road with Internet Explorer. And that all began, if you recall, with Windows 95. It was the first time that a browser had been incorporated into an operating system. But prior to that, I think if you're old enough to remember, there was several products that occurred before that. And one notable one was Netscape. That was kind of the groundbreaking change for web browsers. Because in the early days, web browsers were rather clumsy affairs. They were text-based, and it was rather cumbersome. You would put in text, and you would get the search or whatever you did would come back to you in text. So the first graphical interface that we can remember was a browser that was called Mosaic. Very few people use that. We're talking about in the early 90s. The first one that was probably more mainstream for most people that were getting into the internet was a product called Netscape. And that was the first time that we actually could see pictures, and there was promise of music and all kinds of good things that were going to come from this. It was quite a revolutionary time. And along about that time, of course, Microsoft introduced Windows 95, and that's when we had our first experience with Internet Explorer. Well, since that time, Internet Explorer went through several iterations, good, bad, or indifferent. And I guess it was when Windows 10 hit the horizon that we then went to the new version of the Internet Explorer, which became Microsoft Edge. And of course, along the time, it still wasn't quite satisfactory, and Microsoft was fighting the competition such as Firefox and Chrome and a couple other browsers that seemed to do a better job at browsing the internet. So that's when we come on Microsoft Edge, the one is now built on top of Chromium. And it's a truly cross-platform product, and it's available for Windows 7, 8, 10, Mac OS, Android, iOS, with a Linux version in the works. So it's going to become quite a game changer for Microsoft. So when we talk about browsers in general, they're also known as web browsers, or simply a browser, but it's a software program that you use to view web pages on your computer. You can think of it as being your gateway to the internet. I think we all understand that 90% of our internet experience is based on one type of browser or another. So if you want to enter online sweepstake, for example, you must first open the gateway's websites in your internet browser. So, in other words, the main purpose of an internet browser is to translate code that computers can use to create websites into text, graphics, and other features to those wonderful and beautiful pages that we all are used to seeing today. The first web browser, as I alluded to earlier, was later changed its name to Nexus, and it was created by English gentleman by the name of Sir Tim Berners-Lee. It was released in 1990, and it gave people a basic way to view web pages. And as I said earlier, it was a kind of a text-based product. And it's a long way from our immersive online experience that we have today. So without browsers, the internet as we know it would not be possible. Before the first popular graphic browser, Mosaic, was released in '92, the internet was basically text-based, bland. You couldn't use it without technical know-how, and a limited number of people had the ability and interest to use the internet. But as we can see, internet browsers have developed into powerful tools that allow us to safely and quickly access our favorite web pages. So as we say, this is very helpful if you want to enter the sweepstakes faster. One of the big confusions that I found is some do not understand the difference between a browser and a search engine. I think that comes mainly because of the interchangeable names in the early on that we had Yahoo and a few other ones that are still around today. And those were actually search engines that were using a web interface. So believe it or not, many people don't know the difference between a web browser and a search engine. If you do know the difference, congratulations. But for others who don't, here's a few pointers that easily differentiate between these two usually interchangeable words. By simply taking in the keywords of each word, in the case of the words browser and search, you can immediately identify one major difference between the two. One is programmed to browse a web page, and one is to search for a web page. So that's the key difference: browse a web page and search for a web page. One other notable difference is while a web browser can exist without a search engine needs a web browser to display its results. This simply means that a web browser is the basic element in accessing the internet, whereas a search engine is simply searching for keywords in a search engine's database. Another example, you can't access any data without a web browser, but you can go to certain websites without the use of a search engine. So when we come to the browser that is used in Windows 10, it's Microsoft Edge. You can't remove Edge, but you don't need to use it. You can delete the icon from the taskbar and the start menu, but you can't uninstall it. And that's because the Microsoft Edge is an integral part of the operating system. So Microsoft has been struggling to get people to use its Edge browser for years. Even though the company made Edge the default browser in Windows 10, most people left it by droves, basically flocking to Google Chrome, and with good reason. And that's basically because a lot of folks had bad experience with Internet Explorer in itself. So it became not something that users really wanted to use. They prefer some of the other browsers that has more power and more features. So what was the problem was Edge was underpowered, had difficulty to use features, and it offered few extensions compared to Chrome and Firefox. So to counter that, Microsoft has now launched a new version of Edge that's based on the same top technologies that drive Chrome. And the new Edge is a much better browser, and there are compelling reasons to use it. You might still prefer to use Chrome, Firefox, or one of the other many browsers, but I would challenge you to try the new Edge and see how well you like it. So if we compare the two big hitters, I would say, Microsoft Edge with Google Chrome, you'll find that there's some similarities and some pluses. By default, of course, Edge is installed on all Windows-based devices. It has improved, faster execution than the old Internet Explorer. It's more stable as a Windows application when displaying web apps. It supports more casting devices through the Digital Living Network Alliance, in other words, DLNA, and also Microsoft proprietary casting software called Miracast. You can also run extensions from the Microsoft Store and the Chrome Web Store. The extensions that run in Chrome are also interchangeable with Edge and vice versa. It also has built-in tracking prevention and potentially unwanted program blocking. On the other hand, Google Chrome is open source. It has a large extension library, the most widely supported browser available, especially for consumer devices. It's cross-platform, but it is a bit of a memory hog. Future of ad blockers uncertain as Google starts to inhibit them. It's a separate download and the installation on all operating systems but Android. So Google's not happy with the introduction of Edge. When users log onto your, if you've experienced when you log onto your Gmail account from a new device, you might get a message that comes up that says, make the most out of Windows 10 with the Chrome browser. Chrome is fast, simple, and secure browser built for the modern web. And that's because by all accounts, the Microsoft Edge browser is becoming increasingly popular as a valid alternative to Google Chrome. So how is the new Edge different from the old Edge? Well, for starters, it's based on Chromium, which was released in January 15, 2020. It's compatible with all supported versions of Windows and Mac OSs. When you download the browser, it replaces your legacy version of Microsoft Edge on Windows 10 PCs. And if you noticed when you upgraded to version 2002, you notice that the old Edge was indeed replaced with the new Edge. So it has the speed and performance best in its class compatibility for websites and extensions, and built-in privacy and security features. It's the only, in my opinion, the only web browser you ever need. And the old Microsoft legacy, which is E with the ponytail, is actually an HTML-based browser launched in Windows 10 in 2015. And as I said before, is that Microsoft Edge is the default browser on Windows 10 PCs. So we're going to look at some key features of the new Edge. We're going to look at in private mode. We're going to show some, talk about some saved web pages as PDF, tab browsing, crap blocker, immersive reader, automatic profile switching, browser extensions, both ones that are available from Microsoft as well as those available from Chrome. Now this is just an overview, so keep that in mind. We're not going to get too much in depth in any of one of these topics, but we are going to show you some things that you may not know and that you can research on your own. And of course, some of that information will be available to you in the material that we send to everyone that attended this presentation. And of course, feel free to ask questions at the end, or send Judy Jalur any questions that you may have, any clarifications of something I've said, and we'll try to make those answers available to you at the end of this presentation. So one of the things about the new Edge is there's some key updates. And some of the new features that were built in was a QR code generator, collections, and the tight integration to Windows 10 and networking domains. The extension sync, as Microsoft Edge is built on Chromium browser, you're able to install not only browser extensions designed for Edge, but you're also able to use those that were designed for Chrome. You'll find little difference actually between the two browsers, other than the fact that Chrome is more pure without having some of the Microsoft additions. But all the features that you have in Chrome also have trickled down into it itself. So the collection feature is something that's unique to Edge, and it allows you to collect and compare shopping items, collect and combine information from platforms like Wikipedia, together events and research information in a dedicated panel for later reference. In the next release, Microsoft is planning on improving the collection feature to allow you to save all their open tabs into a new and existing collection. And then you can reopen all those tabs from any device that you're logged onto. The automatic profile switching is designed because it allows you to change your profile from your to separate your work and personal browsing. Because during this period where lots of people are working from home, it's advantageous that you can use your when you're doing your research, you may want to keep your personal browsing separate from your business browsing. So the automatic profile switching, you have to keep the work and personal data separate. And if you use multi-profiles, you can check it out by navigating the site authenticated with a work account while in their personal profile. To help you stop getting mixed up, Microsoft will detect this is happening and prompt you to switch the work profile to access the site without you having to authenticate it. So if you are using, you may have already been experiencing this if you're using if you're working from home and using a web browser for business. Another thing that is becoming increasingly important, has always really been important, is trying to avoid miscellaneous sites and downloads. So Microsoft has incorporated something called the Smart Screen Filter, and it's a feature that helps phishing websites. It also helps protect you from downloading or installing malware. And as you browse the web, it analyzes web pages and determines if you have any characteristics that might be suspicious. If it finds suspicious web pages, the smart screen will display a message giving you an opportunity to provide feedback and advising you to proceed with caution. The smart screen filter also checks sites you've visited against a dynamic list of reported phishing sites and malicious software sites. If it finds a match, it will show you a warning notifying that this site has been blocked for your safety. So if you look in your settings, you'll see something that looks like this, and it's under the app and browser control. And it's also labeled in the settings as a smart screen filter. So you have several choices when you that the smart screen will check. and you can select how you want it to react to those. You can block them, you can warn, or you completely turn the feature off. And then it has a switch at the bottom to turn on, and that will help the filter detect you from the miscellaneous sites and downloads. So that's one of the configurations that you'll probably want to check out in your browser. So the filter is going to check files you download from the web against a list of reported malicious software sites and programs known to be unsafe. If it finds a match, Smart Screen Filter will warn you the download has been blocked for your safety. The Smart Screens Filter also checks the files you've downloaded against a list of files that are well known and downloaded by many Microsoft Edge users. If the file you're downloading isn't on that list, the filter will warn you. And then additionally, it will also block any unsafe sites. It will also navigate you away from and unload the page. This will completely block any audio and replace the site's content with a prominent red Smart Screen safety message. The QR generator that we talked about allows you to share links from a PC to a mobile device much easier. It creates a QR code for a specific page that you can then scan with your mobile phone's camera to navigate to the same address. So you click the little icon that you see where the red arrow is pointing for the page that you're on, and you can either scan the code with your mobile phone or download it and then share it using a different method. Additionally, the QR code generator can also be launched by right-clicking on the page you want to share. Microsoft has added a dedicated option to run the QR generator from the Edge context menu. And regardless of the method you choose, they do pretty much the same thing. So to enable that, you will go open the Edge browser and type the below flags path in the address bar. And that will enable Edge to display a QR code icon in the address bar, and you can quickly click on it to generate the code. So by doing that, you enable sharing page via QR code, enable right-click UI to share the page's URL via a generated code QR. And that's would be Mac or Windows. And the flag, which Edge and both Chrome uses that term as for command line codes that starts with a pound, sharing, dash, QR, dash, code, dash, generator. And then you can select whether you want this to be the default or you want to just enable or disable. One of the things that has been really popular, at least is something I use, is the Immersive Reader. And it works on only websites that support that feature. What you actually get is that rather than having all the ads on one side and a lot of other clutter, when you invoke your Immersive Reader, it gives you a really clean page where you only see the text of the article, and there's no ads to anything. It's also a good way to print a particular page without having all the ads to be included. So to do that, there's a little icon on your toolbar. It runs across the top, just like we did for the QR code reader. And you'll see a little book with a little microphone. So what happens is that this will then clean up that page, and then also it will allow um, um, you to read it without uh, any ads. So it's not going to have any of that additional clutter. As you can see in the example here, is that when you click on it, it turns from gray to blue. That's probably one of the things I use more than anything is the Immersive Reader. You can also have the reader also read aloud to you, and you can check those over the top of the page to drop down the above bar, and it will then choose the voice and speed. You can also add more voices. Right click on the page where you want to start the Immersive Reader to read. And over here on the in the example, you see where you can select whether you want a slow read, or normal, or fast. And then you have several voices that you can use. Microsoft Aria, I think there's Dan, there's several other ones that you can choose as your narrator. So as we're going through this, you can move the text slider to increase or decrease the font size. You can adjust this text spacing. And out of the page themes, you can select the background color for easier reading, as you can see in our example here. You also can turn on symbols to split words into syllables. You can also add color codes for nouns, verbs, and adjectives on the page. And last, you can also do your reading preferences. You can do a line focus, help you focus on 1, 3, or 5 lines at a time. And you can also translate the page into 50+ languages. Other improvements is that many people do not realize that by default, Microsoft Edge is your PDF reader in Windows 10. You do not need to add any additional software, Adobe Acrobat. The Microsoft Edge will be your default reader, and that was in the case as with the old Edge as well. So to get to that, you open your settings, click on apps, click on default apps, and then you're going to select which application you want to be the default for reading PDFs. Like in this case, the .pdf Microsoft Edge is selected. But within that, you will, if you have other PDF readers installed on your computer, they might show up as well. But if you want to use Microsoft Edge, then you just leave it. If you want to use another PDF reader, then you have to go within the default settings and change that to whatever that reader that you might want to use. And of course, the worst thing that that is a kind of a problem for all of us is those potentially unwanted programs, which they call them pubs. And they've been called malware with a legal team. You can give permission to install the junk when you click the license agreement. So it's not technically malware. Blocking crapware downloads needs to be turned on. And you can do that in settings, privacy, and services. Then under services, enable the block potentially unwanted apps option. And you'll see that in the services section in your settings and then privacy services. And then go over and navigate down to where it says block potentially unwanted applications. course, make sure that the slider will be blue, like in this case. Off, it'll be gray. But anytime you see a blue slider in Edge, that means that the action is enabled. And to disable it, you'll want to click on it, and then it will turn. The slider will move to the left, and it will be gray in color. So the other question about is, what version of Edge do I have? People ask that question all the time. And you can go in the About section, then Settings, and it will give you that information. It will tell you what the latest build is, which is version 84.05.2.49 in this case. It's the official build. For those of you that want to live on the bleeding edge, you can also go and download the developed version of Microsoft Edge, and they can coexist side by side. You don't have to give up your official build, but you can also use the development, or what they call canary versions of Edge, and see what the latest developments are. Now we're going to look at some of the things that are kind of unique to Edge, and that's the settings controls. So we're talking about Edge having two settings controls, and one is setting controls for the Edge's new tab page. And I think this is worth discussing because it can be confusing. When you first open up Edge, you might see this page, which is displayed here, which shows a search bar, plus it has some tiles that indicate some of the different websites you've gone through. And you would kind of wonder, well, how did those get there? Well, Edge has a tendency to just pull in those as based on your usage. And you can also go in and add additional ones by clicking on the plus. So here's how you customize your new tab page layout. So by default, new tab page will show a Bing search bar, quick links to your most visited sites, some top news stories. However, there are a few things you can do to customize this page to have a better Edge experience. So that's what we're looking at here. We see the Bing search bar at the very top, and then we have these tiles that indicate some of our most visited sites. And then there's a plus where you can add your own favorites as well. So to change that, there are three preset styles to choose from, and it's called focused, inspirational, and informational. And each one of those offers a slightly different approach to how you view information on the new tab page. And when you're in Edge, you'll see that the very first tab at the very top of your page is going to be labeled New Tab. And then below that, you'll see what I just showed you previously. So the focus one is going to be, is a default. It's a minimalist approach with the Bing search bar, the web quick links, and the Microsoft News heading bars. The second one is inspirational, and this layout is essentially the same as the focus, and it looks identical, except it offers the additional of the Bing image of the day as the new tab background. The informational layout has all the features I just discussed, but it extends the Microsoft's news section with offering you more information, more informative approach, showcasing headlines and news articles personalized for you. So to get this started, you're going to fire up your Microsoft Edge, and if the edge starts where you left off the last time, you can get to the new tab by clicking the plus icon. So in other words, this Hi to Geek, we explained tech was the last page that I visited. So it's going to be the ones that it remembers. So in order for me to get to the new tab one, I would hit the plus sign, and that would open a new tab page. On the new tab page, I would then go and click on the settings gear in the right corner of that page to leave those layout schemes, which we talked about, the focus, the inspirational, and the informative. So you can go in and play with those and see which one that suits your fancy. Then once you can customize a lot of those elements in the new tab page if the preset layouts aren't cutting if you don't particularly like them. You can go in and click the settings gear, and then at the bottom of that, where you see the focus, inspirational, and informative, you'll see custom. And from here, you can enable or disable which quick links that you want, the image of the day, and also manage how Microsoft manage the Microsoft News content. The only thing you cannot disable is the Bing search bar. From here, you can enable or disable the quick links, image of the day, and manage to see how Microsoft News content. Click the drop-down menu under Contents, lets you manage how you view the Microsoft News. And then you can choose to see the content immediately when the page loads. Only the headings visible on the scroll or not at all. So here's the drop-down when you under Content. You can select headings only. You can show all the content. Then you can show the content visible on scroll, or you can turn it completely off. If you like the image of the day, you don't want all the extra stuff, it's easy to disable the quick links in Microsoft News content. And this way you can see a beautiful new image each day when you launch Edge. I'm going to try and see if I can show that to you without causing a huge problem here. So I'm going to go here to my taskbar and bring up. So this is my, I'm going to bring up Edge. And right now,
Bill, we're not seeing it.
you're not seeing it? Hold on a second. It's, you see it now?
Now, did you make sure that we're sharing the desktop and not just the PowerPoint?
Yeah, hold on a second. That's my. Thank you. All right, you see it now?
Correct.
Okay. So now what we're going to do here, as you can see, as I explained earlier, this was the last page I was on. So it is showing as it remembers where the last page I opened. So if I want to go to my new tab page, I'm going to click on the plus. So when I do that, then I get this. So here we have my personalized page, and it's showing the titles of the different websites that I've visited frequently. And again, here's the plus sign where I can add additional ones that I have. Now, if I want to change that, I'll go here to the gear, and there you see it shows my page layout. It shows focus, inspirational, informational. And as I click on these, you can see the difference how it changed. So let's do the focused. And now you see, you do not see any background at all, but you see the tiles, very minimalist, and nothing else more. When I go to inspirational now, it's going to show me a really nice background picture, such as here, as we see here. And these change every day. You can also vote on the popularity. If you like this image, you can click here, and then it will see that you get images like that in the future. So then below that, you'll find your feed of the news and anything else that you want to have on this particular page. A lot of it is already planned for you, and it's in advance. So it's quite there's lots of information. The other one that we can look at is informative, and of course it's going to be more news focused. And then lastly, we can, if that's not doing this for us, we can go to custom, and then we can here turn off or on the quick links, the image of the day, and show greetings. So all of those are available to us by switching onto these toggles here. I'm sure there'll be questions about that, so we'll save those for later. But as we were saying here, if you enjoy the image today but don't want all the extra stuff, it's easy to disable those, and that was what we just Edge produces all the quick links displayed on the new tab page from the website that you visit, and automatically adding them as tiles underneath the search bar. We saw those. You can remove or rename or add new tiles on the page in a few easy steps. So to rename them, let's go back to that. You see it right here, you'll see the three dots. And when I click on those, that allows me to rename or remove that particular tile. Likewise, I can go here and I can hit the plus sign and I can add a new one. So it's highly customizable to what you want to see. So as I said, you can add the website to the quick links section by clicking on the plus sign. You can also open and rename those particular websites. And remember, they're getting there because these are sites that you frequently visit. And likewise, you can customize
Call from 40.
You can customize your news feed in the same manner. So what we would do, we would go here. And we go here to personalize. And then here's where we could choose our interests, what we like. And there's quite a bit of things you can choose from. And just by clicking on this, you will enable or disable. So if I don't want the crime stuff, I could just click on it, and then I can unfollow it if I choose to, or I can go back and follow it. And then to get back to personalize, I just go here and click that page again. So by The customizing your news feed, you can scroll to the bottom to toggle a weather information card that appears in My Feed section. Weather information cards can be toggled at the bottom of the page. After you personalize your news feeds to your liking, you continue browsing the internet and click on any of the headings you see related to the news stories in the feed. So the settings section in the browser lets you customize your browser settings to meet your needs. And it supports the home button and lets you import your favorites from another browser like Chrome. Now, when you actually, when Edge, the new Edge came in or was installed on your computer, it actually went in and automatically took all your settings from your old Edge and moved it to the new one. So if you look, you'll find all the bookmarks that you had previously selected or will be in the new product as well. So you don't really have to do very much, but you can further go in and go into the settings menu, which is quite extensive, more so than it was in Internet Explorer. It really mimics the one that you find in Chrome. So if you're familiar with Chrome, I got ahead of myself here. So if you're familiar with Chrome, then these settings will be quite recognizable. But if you're not, then you're kind of in for a surprise because, excuse me, I gotta get back to where I was. Sorry, I'm trying to get to my taskbar, which is not working for me. Yeah, I can't get to my taskbar like I had planned to, but in any way, when you go to the settings, and that's when you click on those three dots over here in the corner, and then go down to settings here, you will then get this menu that's showing on the right side. And here you can select all these different, from these different categories, the settings that you want to change or review. So it's everything from privacy and services. That'll be your privacy settings, how your how Edge, the appearance of Edge, the colors, what you want to do at startup, and so forth. So these are all listed here, as well as selecting printers and so forth. So like under the privacy services, you can set your profile, you can set your privacy options, manage your passwords, and any number of things. So it's very worth going into the settings and just taking a look at those. Edge offers a number of keyboard shortcuts, and they're the same as the ones that was in Internet Explorer. They were developed by Microsoft and in a way similar to those to provide an easy path to transition from IE to Edge. So many of the features and functions of Edge can be accessed in the more actions and view advanced settings. Many Windows users may prefer to use a keyboard shortcut. So they complement the mouse and are handy ways to make web browsing faster. Remember that Edge is continuing to evolve, so there'll be more hotkeys added, and some may be removed, and while others may no longer work. But here's kind of just a brief overview of some of the ones that you can use to make your web browsing easier. A lot of people forget about middle mouse button, which you can use to scroll up and down the page. There's any number of these that you can use, which makes your navigating through the various web pages very easy. So let's look at some of the last stuff. What we're going to say here is that browsers are a personal preference, our door into the world of the internet. Considering that the World Wide Web is such an important part of our lives, using the right browser to service our needs is one of the most important components of using the internet. Aside from the standard fare of Edge, Firefox, Chrome, there are other alternative web browsers that deserve a fair look. Some of them are based on pre-existing major browser projects like Chromium, while others strive for a purist from scratch approach. For the Windows program, we have 5 alternatives. There's the Avast Secure Browser. There's the one that's called Brave, Chrome, and that's DuckDuckGo. There's Opera and Vivaldi. And in the case of DuckDuckGo, that's one example. DuckDuckGo is also a search engine, but they also make a web browser. So that's what kind of how some of the confusion comes out. And one of the things that you might overlook, and that's the Bing Awards program, or AKA Microsoft Awards. That program was launched in 2010, and the whole idea was to attract people to use the Bing search engine. In this program, you can earn reward points or credits while you're searching online using Bing and perform other tasks such as answering quizzes, surveys. As long as your Bing Awards account is signed in or on any device that you use to go online, you can earn credits. If you don't like using the Bing search, you can still use get the credits by using the Microsoft browser, Edge browser, and you can stock up probably 1,500 points if you are an active Edge user, and additional 25 points per browsing hour. You can keep track of the usage time and the points you earn by downloading the Microsoft Rewards extension, then sign into your Windows 10 through your Microsoft account. You'll see a green check mark if and when you're browsing actively, and a yellow exclamation point if you're not actively using it. So clicking on the extension will activate the drop-down menu and will show you how you can earn points. And you also will link into the main dashboard page of the Microsoft Rewards program. And you're saying, oh, well, why is this important? Well, what I've learned from just using, I use Bing for a lot of my searches as well. Of course, I use the Edge browser. I've racked up over the years quite a few points. In case I go and look at those, and some of the rewards I get is I can get a $5 gift card for Starbucks. I've also paid for a year subscription for the premium version of Microsoft Solitaire. And these are all listed in the catalogs, and they give the number of points that you can use to redeem those. You can also use those for charitable giving as well. So if you accumulate enough points, you can redeem them for different incentives. You can click on the redeem link at the top of the page and click on one of those offers. So there's Starbucks, there's Amazon gift cards, you get discounts from the Microsoft Store, and there's other options from Microsoft and for apparel, subscription, Skype credit, Xbox membership. And you can also go further. You can exchange the points for hotel loyalty programs and airline miles. They can be changed for Shutterfly photo books and prints, There's other options that allow for gift cards from Burger King, Applebee's, Groupon, Domino's Pizza, IHOP, or iTunes, and many other businesses. And you can get a good overview of the whole program on this link that we will provide you. So if you're already browsing, I mean, you might as well take advantage of some of the bennies that you can get from the program with very little effort. So it's something that is worth looking into, and it's no cost to you. So with that, we have time for our Q&A, and we can go over some of the things that I may have missed and answer any of your questions. I hope that you enjoyed the presentation and learned a little bit more about using Microsoft Edge and what the benefits of using it provides. So John?
We'll turn this part over to Judy with questions that
Oh,
she might have, and then after those questions are open, we can do our normal open mic, open video.
okay. I will stop sharing my screen. I see some familiar faces. Hi, Dave.
Judy, do you have some questions ready?
Is she there?
Yeah.
Unmute myself. Bill, will you please explain what extensions are and why we would want to use them?
That's a very good question. Extensions, and I will bring up Edge here. Just type. Extensions actually provides more functionality to your browser. It will add programs and features that is not included in the standard browser. So you can go to, with Microsoft Edge, all the extensions now are maintained in the Microsoft Store. And there's an extension for Microsoft Office, so you can launch it directly from your browser. There are extensions for that Bing Rewards program that I just discussed. But the whole idea behind it is that it's going to offer you additional functionality that's not normally included in the regular browser product. And of course, you can pick and choose what you want. The beauty about the new Microsoft Edge is that those extensions that are available to Chromium, to Chrome, are also available in Microsoft Edge. And there are hundreds of them that you can choose from.
Pam wants to know more about the QR code reader. What does it do and what is it for?
Well, the QR code reader actually you're all familiar with a QR code. It's the one that has the little dots and squares that you see on a lot of products. So what it's actually doing is generating a QR code for that particular website. And you can then use your phone to access that website through that QR code. So it's just a gimmick actually to make you get their websites without having to do a lot of typing. You just generate the QR code and you can then share that with another device or friends or family. And then when they see it, they just need to use their QR reader and it'll take them to that website.
And that answered hopefully Marilyn's question too also. Dorothy wants to know, can I change the browser from Bing to Google?
Yes, but not browser. Now remember, Bing is a search engine and Google is a search engine. They're not that's not a browser. But you can change the search engines in your settings, and you can go and by using that, by going to the settings, you can select where I can show you whether you can do that. I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, over here where the three dots, we go to settings, down to settings, and under personal, make sure I get this right. So under privacy and settings, you have to go all the way down to the bottom of this page. And then where it says address bar, you click that, and this shows where you manage search engines. Here you can change to any one of these and make it the default. But if you notice that Bing and Google, they're search engines and they're not browsers.
She just mistyped.
Pardon?
She just, instead of misspeaking, she mistyped. She meant search engine.
Oh, okay, yes. So did you see how I did that? Let me go back just to make sure that everybody understands.
I'll include the instructions in the handout.
Yeah, it's under privacy and services. And then you scroll all the way down. It doesn't seem like that's the place where it would be, but it's down where the address bar is. And that changes it from Bing to Google or whichever one of these ones that you prefer to use. You have to do a little arrow. So there you find the different search engines. Now this also shows you, these are some of the extensions that I have installed. There's my Bing homepage search engine one. This one allows me to switch between pages, but you can, but they have to be installed. The extensions have to be gotten to the Microsoft Store, and that's where they're added to the browser.
That's another question then. You can't get the extensions from any place other than a Microsoft Store.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Or in the case of if you want to use one of the Chrome ones, you have to go to the Google Play Store.
Okay, so the Microsoft Store and the Google Play Store. While you're right here, I don't know if this is in Edge, is it possible to create a setting to ask the user where to save a download so it can be found later? I was always under the impression that it automatically went to my download folder without me having to do anything.
Well, right here, there's downloads. So we're going to click that. And then it tells you where you want to, you can change it where it says the default is C users username downloads. So you're correct in that point, Judy. That's where they're going to go. But if you want to change it, you can by clicking here, and then you can put it in another location. Also, you can turn on the button to ask where you want the file to be downloaded. So you have a couple options. If you turn this on, then it's going to ask you where to save the file. If you have it off, it's going to just use the default, which is C user's username downloads.
I think you've answered this. Can you use Google for searches in Edge?
Yes, and how you do that again is there are two ways. You know, just type in Google right here in the and then press enter, and then you'll get the Google search area, or you can change the address bar to be Google search rather than Bing. Remember that it's going to be Bing because it's Microsoft. But if you want to change that address bar, again, you go down to what we said earlier, and you change the address bar to, see right now it's showing Bing, and then if you want that to be something different, then you choose one of these. You can choose it to make it Google, and then that becomes, at this three dots right here, you can, well, you have to use this to add, and then you can type in whatever you want.
I like using Edge on my laptop. Do I have to do anything special to load it on my Galaxy tablet and Galaxy 10e phone? Will the settings carry over from my laptop?
It depends. I would say yes if you have it synced between the devices. And there is a setting. Let me see if I can find it easily. Right here where it says sync. So you're going to go here, and then you're going to turn all those on, and that's going to sync across all your devices. If you have, as long as you use the same, you're using the same user ID and password for to get into those. So if you have the sync turned on, it's going to sync all of this across your devices. Like I have now on your phone, you have to download Edge as an app. You can go to the Google Play Store and add it. You can also add it in the App Store for the Apple devices, but you have to have the app installed on your phone and your tablet.
Oops. Can
Well,
you import your favorites, etc., from other browsers other than IE and the old Edge?
you should be able to allow you to come in and do that when you're setting it up. Initially, it's going to ask for you to take that action. After the fact, I'm not so sure. Let me see if I can find where that would be. Import browser data under your personal settings. So here is where you would go to import this is from the Edge, from the old Edge. And then there's a drop down where you can go for Internet Explorer, Chrome, and then the others. So apparently you can import from Legacy, Edge, and Google Chrome. It doesn't seem like you can report from the other. Yeah, it looks like you're limited to just these. The Edge Legacy, that's the old Edge. Then Microsoft Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, and favorites and bookmarks, HTML file. Now that's what you would do probably if you're using another browser. You'd have to export the your bookmarks and favorites using an HTML file, and then you can install that from here. Because when you click that, it's going to ask you where that file is. You go and click on that, and then it would import that data from those other browsers into Edge.
Don't most browsers have search term capability?
Search term?
Don't most browsers have search term capability, meaning you can search with a browser?
Well, not in that sense. You can put your search criteria in the address bar if you're looking for anything particular, like if you want to know, let's see. Like if you want any of this information here, you would just type it in and then click on it, and it would bring up the information. That's what you're referring to. Or you can also do some, like I think, what's the sum of two, and that sort of thing. You can do that if that's what you're meaning.
Okay. Huey would like to know, of course, when will Edge be available on a Chromebook? And you should be interested in this too, unless you've already got it on yours.
I have Chrome. I have Edge, I believe, on my Chromebook. I can't say for certain, but I believe you can get it for that device. It would be in the it would be either in the web store or in the. I know there is a Google Edge for. I mean, there's Edge for Android, so you have to go to the Google Play Store on your Chromebook, get the Android version. There may not be a version for the Chromebook in the web store, but I know there is one for the Android. I have it on my phone, so that means I can put it on my Chromebook. That would be the workaround, but I don't believe there's one actually specifically for Chrome. Now that would be John Kennedy could probably ask this question. John, is there? Do you know if there's Edge for Linux? Is there not?
They're working on it.
Yeah, currently not.
Okay. I was thinking if there was one for Linux, you probably could put it on your Chromebook. But I know there is Edge on the for the Android phone because I have that on my phone, so I can download that to my Chromebook using the Google Play Store.
How do the settings for Chrome compare with Edge? They're both done with Chromium, so I would assume they'd be just as many on one platform as the other.
Actually, from what I see, they're virtually identical. Here's Chrome right here. And if I go here to the three dots and go here to settings, they're just laid out a little differently, but they're almost identical as far as what's there. Some of the names are a little bit different, but I don't think there's really that much difference.
Can the bookmark section be easily edited and put into subfolders?
That's a good question. Something I do not do, but let's take a look at it.
I have it that way in Chrome, and if this is built on the same thing, it seems like you'd be able to.
I would agree with you. Let's see. So my I would say the answer would be yes. I don't know. I don't do it, so I don't know how to actually make that happen, but I would say you can, based on what I see here. Of course, I think collections kinds of does basically the same thing, where you can group your favorite pages into these various categories. And you can organize and collect your web pages as you browse. And so this would be a permanent repository for, you could just collect everything that you liked into one grouping. And that might be another, that's probably an enhancement to bookmarks. That's just my take on it.
Carol Picard says, under 3 dots, favorites, manage favorites.
Yeah.
Okay. I have some questions on the Immersive Reader.
Yes.
It says, does it work with books downloaded from the library on Overdrive or Libby? I looked it up and there's no answer. I searched Bing and Google and there was absolutely no answer at all.
Well, if it's going to be in a web browser, if it's going to be displayed in the web browser, and it has the little icon over here that shows the Immersive Reader, then yes. It's not dependent on whether it's a library feature or not. It's how it's going to be displayed in the browser. So if the browser allows it to display that, then yes, you can use the reader. That's what I'm thinking, is that when you download the book from the library, it comes up in your browser. And then if the little icon, the little Immersive Reader, shows up in the icon, then you should be able to use it. That's what was intended to do.
Can the Immersive Reader be used with PDF files on the web?
I would say no, because the PDF has its own format, and it's not HTML or any other thing. It's written in a different code, so probably not.
Will Edge now interface with writable PDFs where you can fill in the blanks? In the past, it didn't, and it still doesn't.
It does not.
I couldn't find any free reader when I searched for it that works with fillable PDFs. They all said, buy our paid product.
It's just the PDF reader in Edge is exactly that, a reader.
And that's all the questions I have. Could you show us in private browsing, please, and why we might want to use it?
I will be glad to.
And kind of go over all the settings options, because they're the same stuff as Chrome, but they're in different places, and sometimes they don't make much sense.
Okay, you're going to have to repeat that again.
Go over some of the settings, because They are
Oh, okay.
the same
Oh.
as Chrome, but they're in different categories, and knowing Microsoft, they don't quite make sense.
Okay. So to do in private browsing, you're going to go here to the three dots, and then you'll see new in private reader window. And the whole purpose of this is that you can do browsing without the browser accumulating any
Bill,
kind of.
sorry, Bill, you're not sharing yet.
Oh, thank you. Okay. You go here to the three dots, which is how you get to your settings, and then you'll find near in the top section, new and private window. So what that allows you to do is to browse without the browser collecting any history. It also will delete your browsing information when you close the window. But what it doesn't do, as it says here, it won't hide your browsing from your school, employer, or internet service provider. Give you additional protection from tracking by default, or add additional protection to what's available in normal browsing. But what it does do is delete your browsing info when you close windows. So if somebody was to come and look at your history, they would be able to see where you had been. So that's the only purpose of it. And it works just like any other thing. You just go in the address bar, you just type in where you want to go. And it'll bring up the information just like it would in a browser, except that there's this right here, there's no history that had gone to this particular site. So I'm going to demonstrate that. I'll close this out. Go to new tab. All right, so if I was to go to my history, you see that oh, hold on. You see that nothing actually shows that I had been here. Only that it says that it was Bing. But now if I do the same thing here, and now when I go to my history, it should show.
And there it is.
See, all it shows is that was a Bing search. It doesn't show any details at all, where this one does. It just takes me there. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does. Thank you. That was my question. Can you touch on startup? Because when I first started using Edge, I didn't remember to go in and set up my startup, and I was losing where I had been. And I like to start up with what I was doing before.
Okay. As you can see, when you go to, when you first bring up Bing, it's going to bring you up to the very last page you were on. Like the last page I was on was this search area. So to get to my startup again, I'd hit the plus sign, and that puts me in that new tab. And this is kind of like my home page. So that's one thing. And then if I want to make a certain page my home page at any time, then I need to use this key here. And in this case, it is the Bing search engine. But if I want to change that, I would have to go here to settings. I think it's under appearance. No, on startup. I'm sorry. On startup here, I'm going to tell it where I want to. I want it to do. If I wanted to, in this case, my startup is the Bing search engine. That's the page. But if I want to make that something different, then I will need to select
And I like mine to be the middle option there. Continue where you left off.
Okay. So in that case, then we're going to have to so I'm going to have to go to the Bing homepage and search engine extension, which is that. And
Actually, I just click on continue where you left off, and that radio button is selected.
well, but I can't do that because mine is set. I'm using an extension. That button is grayed out because I'm using this extension here, and I have to change this in order to make that happen.
Got it.
Which you probably wouldn't have to do. So what I have to do is turn this off, like so. Now I can go here and go back to settings, and then go up here to startup. And now I can select that button.
Can you show us everything we can customize in site permissions? This is just kind of like Windows 10. When you start using it, you need to go through it and customize
Yes, you do.
everything.
But you see what happened in that case, that I had that extension that I was using for my home page. And so that that action was being managed by that extension. So I had to turn that off in order to come here and then click on continue where you left off. So now that will work.
That kind of explains extensions to the lady who had the question.
Yeah.
Cool.
So extensions just give you more functionality. So see right here, this is the extension I'm using. It's this Bing homepage and search engine. And so now I've turned it off. So I no longer, but if I turn that back on, then I can just click here and that takes me directly to that page.
Site permissions?
Do what?
Site permissions.
Site permissions, again, over in settings. No, I don't know why I'm getting on this. Site permissions is here, and here I can each one of these categories, cookie and site data, I have to go over to this arrow, and then I can go in and choose whether I want to block and allow. And I believe those are global settings for anything. So in other words, cookies and data settings, so any site that I want to manage, I have it allowed. But if I change that to something different, that would affect every site that I visit. Same for location, camera. I have it set to ask first. So if I go to a site that require, I don't know why a site would require a camera, but that's possible. If it's
Zoom requires a camera.
Zoom, you're right. Zoom would be a good example, and also microphone. So because they're both web-based, so I have it ask first before it automatically turns on. So I go here and change that, and then I could see here. For some reason, Facebook is allowed. I'm not sure. I know why that's for. Like Messenger needs a camera and a microphone. But this is where you do your site permissions.
Okay, while you're there, Bill, what about if I have a website that put a cookie on me? How do I delete that website's cookie?
All cookies and data. So there they are, and then you would delete them here. Tells you how many cookies there are. And you can click here to remove all.
Can you show us on site permissions where you can customize what kind of cookies you will accept or not? Or is this it? This is it. Sorry about that. I don't have any on mine.
Well,
because we have special things in California. We have the most stringent cookie policy known to man.
Well, underneath that, see all cookies and site data, but then you have ones that you want to block, the ones you want to allow, and the ones you want to clear on exit. So you'd have to go in and add those individually. And then cookies and site data you've temporarily allowed, which those sites are added here, but this is where you would do it under site permissions, cookies, and site. Then you can block all third-party ones, which for some reason, when on sites can't use cookies that track you across the web, features on some sites may break. So by default, that's turned off. But I guess if you have problems, you can turn it on. But usually cookies are kind of a good and bad thing in certain instances. Like some sites require you to have cookies enabled or else they won't operate. Banks particularly are really particular about that because they have metadata that identifies your machine to you. So when you access the banking site, it will come up and says, oh, I don't recognize your machine. And then you have to go through all those authentication iterations. If you have cookies enabled, it will usually allow you to proceed. That's just one example. So there are good and bad cookies. The whole idea behind a cookie, I think everybody realizes that it's the purpose is that it allows you to it speeds up your browser because it has preloaded data. And so it doesn't have to try to go and pull that information down to allow you to proceed. It automatically has most of it. So it just goes and refreshes the stuff that's new. And the stuff that's old, it just maintains a cookie.
you go back to privacy and services for me?
Okay.
Okay, you have balance. I'm just comparing yours with mine.
Yeah.
Can you
I think
click on blocked
balance is,
trackers?
do what?
Click on blocked trackers to see what Edge has blocked. Google.
96 times. And it's been unbeknownst to me.
Yep.
That's quite a few.
Oh, I have.
But the balance here, this is the recommended setting, which is this is the default. But you can go here and, you know, change it to strict, or you can turn it completely off.
Cool. I have 16,507 trackers that have been blocked.
You travel a lot.
Yeah, it's true.
That's quite a few. I mean, where did you see the count? Did you count them all, or it shows it at the bottom?
Well, you had it under block trackers. It's up at the top. You had your number, and I've got
776. 776. Yes.
yes. So this is just so wonderful here.
Bill, one question to make sure it answered, because I'm multitasking here running this. Does the new Edge, when you download something, give you the option to run open instead of saving? Or do you have to save everything?
I'm not sure if I'm understanding what you're asking.
Well, when you go to download,
Oh, downloads. Okay.
and some browsers have the option that, do you want to run this, or do you want to save this, or instead of run, it would be open.
Oh, you do.
So,
one thing about Edge you have to get used to is that when you download something from the internet, the proceedings is going to show here in the lower left-hand corner. And it'll show a little graph where it's downloading. And then it'll come up and says open folder, or it'll say, or allow you to run. So I'm not sure how you change that, but most of the time it says open folder, and then I click on that and it brings me to the download folder. Then I run it from there.
okay. I think sometimes somebody wants to be able to just run it or open it like it was a PDF file, just open it without saving it first.
Oh, well, let's go here to downloads and see if it allows us to, well, that's turned off. So it's going to ask where to save it. No, there's no way of doing that. It's going to take you to the folder. It's not going to run directly.
Where do you turn off?
Where did you, John, where did you?
Bar?
Go ahead, Bill. I was going to ask a question. Do you, is there a browser, does a browser that allows you to do that?
When you first hit a file to download off the internet, there used to be an option that says, do you want to run this or save it?
Oh, okay. No, it will not, because it's going to, the first thing when you do the download, it's going to download in one of these locations, either the download folder or wherever you choose. And it's going to show down here in the lower left-hand corner that that action is taking place. And then you will see, the next thing you will see once it completely downloads, it'll say open file or open location. And so you click on that and it takes you to wherever it downloaded the file to, and you have to run it from there. It won't run automatically. Judy, what was your question?
Where's the favorites bar?
The favorites bar, that's a good question. Oh, okay. All right, so here I'm going to go back to new tab. And my favorites bar usually is going to be along this area for the case of Bing. But it also depends on which view you have. So let's go to inspiration. So it's going to be, it's kind of this area right here. Let me go to something else to see if it changes. In some browsers, it runs along the underneath the address bar, but in Edge, it does not. Let's go here and see something.
Added it to mine.
There's my favorites bar right there, but it does. I don't think it just. Oh wait! I lied. Hold on. This is my favorites bar right here, and it's the star. You have to go. You have to use it in this way. It doesn't display along the. Let's see. Those are mostly empty.
Raising my hand. If you click on settings and favorites, you can, there's your options to show it, hide it, import your favorites from another website, you know, another browser.
Right, right here.
Yeah.
Well, let's click and say, well, I have it set to never. I'm sorry. That's why I don't see it. So see, it says show favorites bar. So I put always, and now it shows along this area. I remember it was underneath the address bar, but I didn't know that it was selectable. But yes, there it is.
One of those things I never got around to setting up.
Yeah, it's
we have a really good question here. Okay, when can regular people get the new Edge?
You should have got it with. You can either download it from the Edge Microsoft Edge website, or when you get the update to Windows 10 2002, it'll be included. And
I know a real quick way to tell people if they want it. Go and do a search from Bing for Chrome or Firefox, and the first thing they'll pop up is download the new Edge.
Oh, let's see, Chrome.
Very good. And when you go to Edge, it says download Chrome or Google. Just go to Firefox. Do you have Firefox? Go to firefox.com and see what it says.
No, just use Bing and type in Chrome.
That's interesting. Oh, you went to CN. Interesting.
Bingo, there it is right now, except he's already got it, but if you don't, it would say download it, give it a try.
Yeah, but if you're, but you don't have, you can just wait and you'll get it when you get the next version of Windows. But if you have this, what I call it, looks like to me like it should be on a dishwasher detergent. But if you have that logo, then you have the new Edge. Well, it looks like it should be on a soapbox or something.
I agree. But I would also have to say, well, when am I going to get the new 2004? Because this is now the 8th month of the year, and I still don't have the 2004.
That's interesting. Like I said, this is a new computer. This is a new computer that I just got, and it had a bunch of updates, and one of the last ones that updated to was 2004.
John, do you have the note that it's waiting in the wings for you and you'll be notified when you can get it? Or do you have the one that I have that says, hey, it's here, and I'm waiting to, when I feel like it, I'll download it?
Every 3 or 4 days I get that pop up, but I haven't seen that for 2 weeks. It would pop up and go away.
Well, if you have one that says it's waiting, that it's I'm trying to think what I read. They can encourage you not to force it, although I have forced it in the past. But for this one, they're saying don't do that because there are some issues with some computers, and so Microsoft is working on a fix for those, and they will then release new version. I've always gone ahead and just went ahead and downloaded it, just forced it, and it usually works for me. But then again, it might not work for you. But the caveat that in a lot of cases, if you go ahead and force it, if it doesn't work, you can always revert back to the old one.
I am very proud to say there is somebody that is attending this that has more blocked trackers than I do. 16,992, and her comment was, I didn't realize I was using Edge as much as I am.
Oh. Well, anytime that you go do a web search, if that's the only browser that's on your machine, you're going to be using it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I only have two. I have Chrome and Edge. I
have a comment here that the new Edge is also on Windows 7.
Yes.
Okay.
Remember at the very beginning of my presentation. Remember at the very beginning of my presentation, I said that it was available for Windows 7, 8, 10, Mac OS, Android, and iOS, and a Linux version in the works.
Everybody's mic on?
What is this?
I'm asking John if everybody's mic is on.
Nope.
Would you do that, please?
I can do that. They are allowed to unmute when they want to.
And I'll stop sharing my screen.
Thank you.
Okay, bar the door.
This is your opportunity to speak up and ask questions on any of the 4 workshops that you have attended. If you have a question from something that was done in the past, let us know.
Bill, this is Pam. Going back to the QR code reader, I'm used to that on my mobile and going to items or physical things and reading the reader. How is this used in a web page application?
So what it's doing is that it's making a QR code of that website that you're visiting, and then you can share it to another device.
Okay, so it's creating one. All right.
It creates a QR code for that website or web page that you're on, and then you can share it to another device or a friend or whatever, and then they just go in and scan it with their camera, and it then brings up that website. You've seen that before.
And also just click on it and it'll take you to a website.
Also. But you've seen that used before.
Are people capturing this QR code and then putting it on their website, and then you click it and it goes somewhere else instead of a link?
It's a link. It'll go to the website. Rather than sending them the link in the normal way, you send a QR code.
So what's the pros and cons in doing the QR code instead of a link?
I don't know. really. It's just an easier way, I guess, to capture it. Because sometimes, the links get broken and you only get half of it. And then when you click on it, it goes nowhere. Like you get a 404, but you have the QR code, you're going to have the complete link. I see it as just a convenience myself. I mean, it's not anything that
Okay, well, thank you.
it's a good question, though.
John Kennedy, what kind of a computer do you have?
What I'm running right now or what I use?
Well, the one that you don't have 2004 in.
It's an external hard drive with Windows 10 on it.
That
So
may be your issue because 2004 is unit sensitive. My product that I use is a desktop that's 14 years old and it's all installed. Everything is updated. It all depends on what the motherboard and other processor.
It's running through a newer motherboard, but it's an external hard drive because
Gotcha.
Judy knows it runs Linux.
How many monitors
John,
do you
you
have,
could-
John?
Pardon?
How many monitors do you have, John?
Just 2 today, you know that. And no fuzzy slippers anymore. They wore out.
Oh, no. APC will buy you another pair.
Well, John, really, I mean, if you're concerned, if you think it's just a fluke that you're not getting the update, I would go in and force it.
No, there's a number of people in our club that still have not gotten the 2004, and one person has a computer that should not be running Windows 10, and it's at 2004. So it's a strange thing.
Yeah. Judy had her hand up.
I always figure they did it in alphabetical order, and I'm a T, and I was always way down at the end of the line.
No,
One time
has
I
something to
got
do-
the October build in January. It was almost time for the spring one.
I believe it has more to do with the manufacturers of the boxes
Mhm.
than anything, that there's a group of computers that are currently out there that Windows 2004 is not playing well with. I'm trying to think on all of mine are updated now, but I believe I allowed it to do them themselves. I didn't force it, but in the past I forced them. I wanted to get the newest one.
Well, Bob G says he immediately downloaded it on all 4 of his computers and had absolutely no problem at all.
I think he forced his.
He's on the Insider too.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he downloaded him, he backed out of the Insiders program.
Oh. And I'm still there, except the only one that's on that Insider program is the computer that I plan on retiring, but I might have to continue using it for the Insider. But see, that was one of the issues, is that I have a 5 license copy of the Office 365, and when I got this new computer, I was up to my 6th license, so I had to decommission one of them. And I'm not sure which one it is. That's the problem. So one of those computers I'm going to jump on, and I'm not going to have access to Office. I'm hoping it's the club one.
That's interesting because I have 5 licenses. I'm using it on 3 computers, but it only thinks I'm using it on 2 computers. So I say,
You're good.
okay, works for me.
Mine showed
Okay.
showed 6. And one of them I really didn't recognize, and I was kind of surprised what that is, because it says I have an Office. I have a Office Enterprise version. I don't know where that is. It's not one of mine, I don't think.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Laura Board, I just
Yes.
was going to say, I still have the 1903 on my computer. I was just looking. It hasn't updated since installed on 8/28/19 was the 1903.
Yeah,
That's going to be a problem.
you're 2 versions behind.
And it's going to stop. It's not going to update. They said it 18 months is all that the versions will last now. So you may have to move up before you can get up to 204.
How do I get up?
You have to force
Go
it.
bug my computer club, huh?
Well,
Go to the Microsoft website and download the next version, and
yeah.
then you'll be okay.
And you might have a computer that only will let you go to 1903. I had a Toshiba that said, I'm sorry, a couple of years ago, you don't have the guts inside that will let you go any further.
Well, you can tell that, Laura, you can look at your history and see if it attempted to download the latest, the newer version. It'll say it failed. That means that you have an issue. And there'll be a
History on the About page.
no. You go to the Windows Update Update and Security page, and it'll say down below Windows Update, it'll say Update History.
Paul just sent me a text
Question?
and said, as I say, he has 5 different computers. 2 went to 204, 1 is waiting, and the other 2s are just sitting there doing nothing. So it's very odd.
I forced my older machine to go to 2004 and with no problems. And when I got my new one less than a month ago, it already had it on it.
Well, I got this one the day before yesterday, and it did not have the latest version of. It had a whole bunch of slew of updates, Windows updates that I had to install. Plus, then the last one that I installed was 004.
Bill, I just checked my Chromebook, and it tells me that Microsoft Edge will not run on this device.
Even even from the
Play Store.
Play
Yep,
Store?
that's where it tells me that.
I'm curious now. I'll go look.
Okay, Carol Picard says in the last couple of weeks, she's worked on 5 computers that were still on 1903. 1 isn't turned on much, so I could understand that, but had no idea why others hadn't updated automatically. She said due to time constraints, so far she's only updated a couple of them, but they did update directly to 2004. So they skipped 1909.
Okay. Thanks, Huey. I'll check that out.
And I would like to know which tech club or computer club that Laura belongs to.
Cajun Clickers Computer Club in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Pat will be taking care of you with no problem at all. You can just contact your help desk, kiddo.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate learning all this stuff from y'all. I kind of enjoying the fact that everybody's connected on Zoom now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, my new
Carl,
Surface doesn't have the 2004. It's waiting.
Yeah. Carl Columbus has his hand raised.
Bill, Carl raised.
Hi, it's Carl Kalinda in Troy, Michigan. Hey, I got connected through an email from somebody else. How do I know I'm going to be on your list for the future?
Have you registered?
I did with the APCUG Semco group in Michigan, SEMCO.
Well, no, did you register?
It's Eventbrite.
Well,
did you,
well,
no. Did you register and it went into a Google form?
No.
Okay, well then you need to get in touch with me and I will send you the link. I am JTAYLOUR@APCUG. I will put that in the chat box. And John, I don't know whether you said or not, but people, you only need to register once. I have some people that register 5 times. And I have to search the spreadsheet on Docs that has over 400 people and get rid of all of the old ones. My count is correct. So, and And if you register, remember, there are boxes to check. One was to just these 4 workshops, or all 8, including home automation. And I got a couple of registrations this morning and no boxes were checked. So I checked both of them. You know, I don't know.
Judy, what was your email again?
I'm going to put it in the chat box to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
I think he wanted to hear you say, I think you said JTAYLOUR@apcug.org.
That would be me, and it's in the chat box. I'm the person that sends everything out to everybody.
Yeah.
And I did send the email reminders out on Monday.
I did not get that. I had to go to the last session.
Would you check?
Look.
Well, Eleanor, absolutely outstanding that you did that instead of sending me an email. I appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
That's being proactive, kiddo.
Yeah. And I had to,
check your spam folder just for grins.
Sure. Nor could I find it on the website, a link.
No, you
It
won't
isn't
do
on
that.
the website because these workshops are only for those people who registered.
Yeah.
And Judy, I'll have to say,
it's a benefit of membership in your group that's a member of APCUG.
Right, right.
Judy, I'll have to say that just like her, I checked spam and I did not get it. So I had to go back through my history and find the one for the first one and use it.
Bill James, Ed
I'm
Kenny.
going to check the email that I sent with your 3 names and see where it is.
Hello, Judy. This is John Kramer. I didn't get it this week either.
Bill James.
You guys are probably going to be the first of the alphabet, so you would be the first one. And it's in my sent box. It's, as far as I'm concerned, it was sent.
Who's addressing me?
Who knows?
Bill, Ed Kenny has got his hand up. Or his hand up.
There's so many people we can't see hands up.
Yeah, that's why I'm letting him know.
I appreciate that.
I found out that you only have 10 days to change your mind if you update to 2004. Otherwise, it deletes your old 1909. So you have to make your mind up pretty fast. Well,
Yeah, that's
I had to update to 2004 3 times because I kept having problems. Now I'm determined to stay on 2004, even with little glitches once in a while.
Yeah, that's always been the case. You have 10 days to revert back to the old one. The old,
Don't forget, when you do update to a new version, you need to go through and check all your settings that you customized again, because good old Microsoft sometimes puts them to their default after you've customized it, that you really don't want to do that.
So some people kind of paranoid. So what they do is they back up their whole system before they update to 2004. That way they have longer to go back.
Always update, do a restore point, excuse me, before you download anything.
Judy, I thought I had signed up for all the sessions and I did not receive your email. This is Evelyn Sherrison.
Okay, thank you. You guys with your first names, that's how Google does the sorting. I'll check because you guys all would have been in the first email that I sent. I split it in 2. And like I said, it's in my sent box with everybody in the BCC, so I have no clue what happened.
Another question from Carl Kalinda.
Yes. Hey, I'm just curious. I don't see, I see my name under the participants, but I don't see my own video or my name in your tiles.
Your video is not turned on.
Oh,
And because your video is not on, and we have so many, you're probably at the end. Move your mouse to the right-hand side. There should be a caret that lets you go to the next screen, because we have 70 people and we can only see 25 on a screen. But I see you, but your camera is not turned on.
You have a red diagonal across your camera in the lower left corner.
Oh yeah.
What? How about clicking on that?
Hey, there's Carl.
Hey.
I have clothes on. I just don't have a shirt on. I came in from outside cutting the grass. It's hot out there in Michigan.
It sure is.
That's okay. We can only see your chin, and if you don't move, we can't see your bare shoulders.
Okay.
And we'll just assume you're wearing pants.
I am.
And I found out working with Bill earlier today, if he turns his shoulders, they'll disappear.
Yeah, someone else said that I was ghosting.
Yep.
I can do that. Nope. That has to do with your background.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have any more questions, comments?
I kind
Thank
of
you,
like
Bill,
my
for the
background.
presentation.
It matched my shirt.
So to speak.
Huey, the mask is supposed to go on your face, not your eyes.
Oh, if everybody that take a look at Huey, that's one of the new features of Zoom. There's the bandit from Florida.
Hey, Judy.
And there's Jay Johnson has a mask on.
Hello, Judy.
Yes, Ed.
Yeah, I didn't get the notice either, and I was at the other.
We're not going to talk about this anymore.
That was Zoom 5.2.
Oh, okay. Huey, can you change to a pirate?
Yeah, hang on a second.
Let's run through everything that you've got. You guys all need to have Zoom 5.2. And you can check by clicking on the green shield in the upper left-hand corner which version you have.
Well, and clarify that you have to have the right processor too.
Oh, you've got flowers growing out. Oh.
Yeah,
You're a little too old to graduate. Very good. Yeah, Leah showed us that one last night. Oh, Mary's a pirate. There you go. All right. Very good.
That's my favorite.
Oh,
You're an angel.
outstanding.
I'm always harping about something.
Wish. Very good. So you can have fun with the 5.2 Zoom if you have the correct processor. And Leah's taking us through her paces. She's almost at the beach in Southern California, and the palm tree is blowing in the breeze. You usually see that in Florida. So have fun with Zoom. I hope you're having fun with Zoom with your groups. We still have some holdouts who, you know, for various and sundry reasons are not meeting, period. And most places aren't going to be able to get back into their facilities until first quarter 2021. And one group, the comment is, we're too old. And I said, come on, you know, I've been doing this for 32 years and many of us started in our 40s and our 50s. So the majority of us are older, and that's not an excuse as far as I'm concerned. One group actually told me they're keeping up close and personal, not using their group's IO account, but via email. And I'm so glad that it was via email she told me that, because I was laughing hysterically. I can't think of anything almost more impersonal than email, where her group could get together and talk among themselves. So I can't figure it out. There's so many people out, you know, not that many, but they just can't take the leap. And Bob's group, lower left-hand, well, I'm sorry, on my screen, he is a new director for APCUG, and his group uses the free conference call, but their video communication program for their meetings. And I know back in the day when we were doing things via conference calls, I used that with many of the member groups when we were just, you know, sitting around and chatting and talking about various and sundry things. And some people use Jitsi. There's a couple of groups that use WebEx. But the majority of the people use Zoom, and I've been on WebEx, GoToMeeting, and Microsoft Teams meeting, and Zoom is far superior to all of those. It is so darn easy to use compared to some of the other ones. I'm off my soapbox now.
I also have a set of 3 videos on settings if you're hosting a meeting. Another one, how to set up registration if you're hosting a meeting. And then my Zoom 101 class I can do for your group, or you can watch it also on YouTube.
Are you sending
Excellent.
an email out on that? How do we find those dates?
Huey will put the information in the chat box, Pam, and you can get it there.
Yeah, I'll go find it and get it in there.
Kenneth Tubaugh from the Columbus Computer Society also does learning how to use Zoom. He does it different than all of us. His slides have hot pink backgrounds and high visibility green clothes, and it's really fun because it's not a typical what we usually do black and white presentation. And the Geeks on Tour also have many videos on how to use Zoom. And they're a fun group too. Not that Huey's not fun, but he also wears his halo during his presentations. So there's lots of options out there on helping your members do better with Zoom, or, you know, have a session where for the people who are reluctant to use Zoom.
I wanted to mention a reason to continue Zoom even after in-person meetings would be available, perhaps next year sometime. And that's regarding the meeting places. The rooms can be small, and even people wearing masks, it's still potentially a danger for people that have compromised immune systems, elderly or from other health conditions.
Have several groups that are planning, we have several groups that have decided they're just going to remain Zoom groups. Mine is one of those. I have no clue when our senior center will be open. And for the amount of rent that we pay, I doubt they would want the custodian to scrub the room down before we got there and scrub it after we left at night. And we are happy with Zoom. I attend meetings all over the place, and I hear many comments of it's so much fun to see people's faces. When I'm in a meeting, I only see the back of their head. So I attended a Dayton Microcomputer Association group meeting, and they were broadcasting from their regular meeting location that was a restaurant, and it was open. They had 4 people there, and the rest of us were via Zoom. And the Sun City Summerlin group in Nevada is teaching their classes like that. They have live, 2 or 3 people in the classroom, so to speak, and then they're broadcasting it out via Zoom. So the hybrid model might be something that a lot of the groups are going to be interested in doing. And at the DMA meeting, they even had a raffle. And I mean, it was such a hoot because Huey, did you do the presentation there? No, sorry, it was the Geeks on Tour using Google Photos with her Chromebook. And they were from Florida. I was from California. There were other people, around the country. But at the in-person place at the restaurant, they had a raffle. Who says you can't have door prizes? And so Berta stirred them up and pulled it out, and their giveaway was a Chromebook. Ooh. And as it happened, the person who won it was right there in the restaurant, the off room, but they were prepared to mail it to anybody else who was a member whose name was drawn. So you can still have giveaways at your Zoom meetings.
I have a comment. Can you hear me?
Yep, Carol.
Okay, I have a comment on the upgrades. If you have an HP computer, I've run into some instances where if HP Support Assistant has updates pending, that sometimes blocks Windows updates. And I've also found I've done the updates under HP Support Assistant, it still wouldn't work. And I realized through some investigation that I was using an older version of HP Support Assistant. So I uninstalled it, went to the HP website, installed the latest version of HP Support Assistant, found a bunch of HP updates, installed all those, and then I was able to do the Windows updates. Now, maybe coincidental, but I've had that on 2 different HP computers. So something to look at if you're running HP and you're not being offered the 2004 update.
That's what this is all about, sharing information.
Judy, I put a bunch of links in the chat box, but I can only send it to either you or John or Bill. So I
Wait a
send
second.
it to you.
Wait a second. I can do
I'm
that.
capturing the whole thing, and then
Yeah.
I will put it in my stuff that I send out to everybody.
Okay.
Yeah. And try it again. You can.
Judy, did you say Zoom 5.2 or 5.0.2?
5.2.0. Again, if you
Okay.
go on, I would really like everybody to go up in the upper left-hand corner of their screen and click on the green shield and with the check. And that will tell you exactly what version you have. I did that with my group, and one gal said I have 5.0.3. I don't know how many emails I've sent out to have everybody update Zoom.
Well, I have 5.0.2, and I thought I had upgraded this before our last local meeting in July.
I always go to zoom.us/download and download the latest version from there.
Okay, I'll do that again.
As long as you're 5, that's what you have to be. I'm at 5.0.5, and there's a good chance that when we close out this meeting, a message will pop up and says update.
Okay.
One question that was asked was, how do you deal with helping others with their devices when you can't meet at our facility? I have a whole presentation I do, and Judy just did it, learned to do it. It's using something like TeamViewer, where you can access somebody's computer and help them with serious hardware problems.
Yeah.
But just like with a Zoom, they can share their computer with you and you can help them. So that's a lot doing there.
Actually, I use Quick Assist all the time. It works fine.
It is great.
Yeah.
Well, and as yeah, but the problem is, as Bill and I found out, that's only for Microsoft to Microsoft.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
our users are, if it's their tablet or their Android phone or their computer that won't turn on, or they can't remember the password when they turn the computer on. So you physically really have to touch the devices, and so a lot of them are kind of,
out of luck.
We can't help them really.
Yeah. They just have to wipe them down and slip them under your doorway.
Well, we're not even allowed in the facility. We are if we make an appointment, but yeah, we've done 3 Zoom sessions, socially distanced, but other than that, we have a lot of Zoom sessions every week, but we're just not getting a lot of people. We have 160 members, and we get sometimes 3 or 4, sometimes up to 10. So, yeah.
To recap, Quick Assist is Windows 10 to Windows 10 only. TeamViewer is from you to any operating system.
I also use something called AnyDesk, ANYDESK. Similar to TeamViewer, but works well.
Dorothy, don't you wish you could light a fire under all those people? And don't you wonder why they're not taking advantage of it?
Yeah, some of them say it's because they're doing things in their garden and they figure they'll do it more in September when things cool down. A lot of people aren't interested at all. So, yeah.
Well, they've gotten their tech fix and they're not interested in going any further, which happens.
Yeah, yeah. But we're getting through it.
Yeah, I was on the Los Angeles Computer Society meeting last night and privately chatting with a guy from another group. And he said, I said, are you guys using Zoom? Well, I knew they weren't, but I wanted to see what he said. And he said, we're thinking about having a board meeting at the park. Everybody bring their own chair and we sit far enough from everybody. And oh, we're thinking of having a meeting with a presentation at a park with everybody bring their own chair. And I'm going, bring your own chair. You won't be able to hear her probably. There's going to be things buzzing around. It's hotter than heck where he lives versus a Zoom meeting. And I'm thinking, okay, doesn't make any sense to me, but
not much.
To each his own.
I think we lost some members that aren't attending Zoom because we don't serve snacks over Zoom.
Yeah, I tell people to bring their own.
Yep, she does.
Yep, but they want us to provide it.
At our club, we're having the exact opposite effect. And they're talking about not going back to the building. They want to stay on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
And we've gained some members actually from Zoom.
Yeah, our board will probably stay on Zoom for the board meetings.
For those people who don't, for those people who, for those people who won't use Zoom, I might suggest you try recording one of your meetings or all of them, and then putting them somewhere. As YouTube is the best place, but put them somewhere and let them go and just look at it, and they don't have to participate in Zoom. Don't have to worry about learning Zoom, because a lot of them are afraid just to get into Zoom. So if you let them just look at a video on YouTube, they could even watch, a lot of them could watch it on their TVs and watch your meeting, and then maybe they'll get interested.
We are doing the same thing. Our president's recording the Zoom presentations and then sends the link out to the members. And those who didn't attend the meeting can actually see the video.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
Make sure you tell people they only need to learn 4 things.
We're a computer club, for Christ's sake. I don't understand that.
Yeah.
You're supposed to learn.
Yeah, I deal with the DAR group, which are a bunch of senior women who are not computer literate at all. And I've got most of them on. I got one lady that refuses, our vice president, in fact.
I find that's often the way, Leah, that those who are not immersed in technology embrace Zoom very quickly, and those that are, I mean, and it seems so silly. Like I said, they only need to learn 4 things to participate, and they'll muck around during the meeting and find out everything else they need to know.
Yeah, that's what I tell them too, yeah. They just click and get in, and we'll deal with it from there.
If kindergarten kids can do it, they should be able to.
Oh, wow. Good. That's part of my spiel.
just tell them it's so easy a caveman can do it.
So if you guys have any ideas on how to light a fire under other club members that aren't attending, let us know and we can share them. I'd go down to preschoolers, Huey.
You have to have the equipment. Some of our members don't. They just come for summer and they just have their smartphone, or maybe they have a flip phone. So we struggle with that.
Yeah,
we had a large turnout at our monthly meeting. Cajun clickers.
Good.
And all our classes are also on Zoom. We have several different programs going on. Not that many people attend, but that's still that we have 3 or 4 what should I say, people teaching the classes.
There are several groups who that life goes on. They're teaching their classes via Zoom, and it's working out well. Thomas has a question. He said, I used to have a static picture of myself displayed when I stopped video. Where did it go? It's not there anymore. John, Bill, I'm clueless.
In a static picture and what?
In the
When
Zoom instead of your camera.
It only says Thomas McAndrews now. It doesn't have his picture.
Oh, you need to go into zoom.us and in profile, change your picture.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone. And
Tom, do you have an
Zoom
account?
what? Zoom what?
Zoom.us.
Zoom US.
Do you have a Zoom account?
I'll have to check my password book to see if I have it in there. I haven't crossed over to a program yet.
How did you get your picture in there? You had to. I don't think you
I
can.
did. I did it at one time. I don't know how long ago, so I'm pretty sure I probably did it and I have it, but I'll have to do it again. I don't remember it.
Yeah, once you sign,
Damn thing about growing old, you start losing some memory.
once you sign into your Zoom account, which is free, and then set up a picture, when you turn your video off like this, right now mine isn't showing because I was signed into a different account earlier, and because I didn't sign out of that account and sign back into the one that I have the picture, it doesn't show a picture. So you don't have to be on, you don't have to go through that account to get to it, but as long as it knows that you're signed in, it'll pick up the picture.
But it's Zoom USA, okay.
No.
Zoom US, no A on the end of it.
Zoom.us.
Zoom.us.
Got you.
Zoom us. Carl has another question, you guys.
Yeah, how do I download the chat links?
You can't.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Click on it.
Open the chat box.
Yeah.
Down at the bottom right, there's 3 little dots.
Oh, I
click on that. It'll say Save Chat. It will save it in your document. It'll create a folder in your Documents folder. It'll say Zoom, and then it'll have a subfolder with today's date, and that's where it will be.
I got it. You know, I was clicking on File because it seemed like File would be the intuitive thing to click on.
Yeah. Oh, that's the upload.
You will not get anybody's private chat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're all private to me.
Yeah,
No,
the
that's
file,
fine.
I got
Most of them are.
Yeah, there's some good links. There's some good links in the chat. You know, somebody, I don't know, maybe you put them in there.
I'll be sending those links out to everybody.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Huey, normally in some of our settings, we turn that off.
I see.
Yeah.
Bill set this one up, so.
Surprise to John.
Yep.
Yeah.
I sent, Carl, if you haven't attended before, I send out as much information post-workshop as I can get my hands on.
And Carl, check with Semco because I send all the stuff to Semco. I'm your regional advisor, so I'm sending it to your officers. Make sure your officers are passing everything on to members.
Yeah, I only send it to the people who paid the admission and sat in their seats and were here today.
As the host, I'm going to say, hey, it's 2:30. We were here for 12 to 2, and it's been good, but
Only 11:30.
yep, it's time for you guys to go to lunch. Time for us to take a